Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Today I'm going to show you how to use the pattern, the template that I've created to make your own version of this little Scrappy Seagull. This is Steve Gulliver. He's a scavenger gull inspired by the seagulls that were always around us when I lived in Cornwall for many years. He's got a little bag with pasty and a couple of fish in it that he's pinched off the tourists. And he sits really nicely on the edge of a shelf. I made him as part of a collaboration with the lovely Suzie Q. I'm going to take you to the desk now. We each had a little box of an identical, the sequins weren't in it, an identical box of scraps like these ones. Another one went to Helen, Churn-Dash Helen, another one went to Sandy in Australia. Identical, pretty much identical kits. As identical as scraps of fabrics can be. Still very much looking forward to seeing what Helen and Sandy do with theirs. They won the most giveaways in previous live streams, and Suzie Q and I decided we would challenge ourselves to make 3 projects each and share them on our YouTube channels. I will be linking to Susie's YouTube channel in the description box. I've still got all these left to do something with, so I've got what was left of Susie's and what's left of mine, so I can still get another project out of this. But I've done my 3. So the first one I did was this, a little slow stitched pebble. The next one was this, which is the beginnings of a Seaside Scroll. I've done I'll link to the videos, I'll link to my videos as well as Susie's. So I showed how to make this using an old cotton reel, a bit of slow stitching, and I've machined all of these scraps onto this scroll, ready for slow stitching into. I'm going to do this as a giveaway at our live stream, which will be going out, I'm going to say tomorrow, it depends on when you watch this video, but it will be Saturday the 7th of September 2024. I'm going to do it as a giveaway. I'm going to make a kit up out of it, so there's all these lovely coordinating threads and sequins, a little bead to tie on the end of the closure, and I've included a piece of backing fabric and this reversible wrap which will wrap around to close the scroll up when you're all done. I loved some of the ideas Paula Lister in New Zealand came up with. She said if she wanted, she would be adding houses and boats and oh, fantastic ideas. So that's all going to go in a little box and go to one of our viewers at the live stream on Saturday. We've got some other gorgeous prizes as well. I'm just going to give you a little peek because I have shown them before. These are all 3 of Susie's beautiful makes that she made with the same kit. This lovely pouch. I've shown all these better before, so I won't spend too long today. This gorgeous needle case, and this, which I actually cried when I first saw it. Believe me, in real life it's even better than it looks on screen. Absolutely gorgeous, and how amazing what you can do with just those scraps. And obviously she added the calico in, but just incredible mixture of free motion machine stitching and hand stitching over the top. I love how she got the bird out of one of the pieces of fabric, and that's the same fabric, that's this fabric, it's the same one that I used the reverse of to make the little fish to go in Steve's swag bag. You've got pasty as well. They will actually take whole pasties out your chips, everything, they'll pinch anything. So that's that. We have also got a bespoke hand-bound book that another Sue, Double O Sue, so it's Double O Sue and Suzie Q. Sue that makes the most beautiful hand-bound books. She's offered one of them. She will make it up specially for the person who wins, and they can choose what kind of paper and what kind of binding they want. So that'll be coming up on Saturday as well, and both Sues, Double O Sue and Suzie Q, are both going to be special guests with us for the live stream on Saturday. So that is, by the time this video goes out, that will be tomorrow, 7th of September 2024, from 8 PM to 10 PM UK time. The winners will be announced during the live stream. I will not be contacting people by email or Facebook and telling them they've won a prize and they need to log into a website or give me their bank details or anything like that. We've been scammed before, so I have to be so careful with giveaways now, and I can't have them open on Facebook and stuff before the event. because I just need to try and protect everyone in the community, so we just do them on the live streams now. Having said that, if anybody ever really wants to win a particular gift that we're giving away, and for whatever reason you're not able to be there, so I know that, for instance, in Australia when we're streaming, it might be like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, or you know, if you've got an illness or something going on that means that you're not going to be able to come to the live stream, but you're one of my regular viewers and you normally come, and you know, I would hate for something like that to miss out on the opportunity. If that should happen, email me. The link tree that I put in my description box on all my videos these days, if you if you follow that link tree, it will take you to my email. You can email me there, tell me what it is, and I will make an exception and throw your name in the virtual hat. I can't do it for everybody. I can't say I'll just do that for everybody, because there will probably be a lot of emails, but you know what I want to do is to give the regular members of our community, all the people that make up part of this amazing community of ours, all the people who take the time to watch my videos and contribute to the Facebook group and the Discord community and everything, and also support the channels of other members of the community. They're the people that we want to say thank you to by doing these giveaways. So I don't want anyone like that to miss out, so just, you know, email me. Okay, anyway, this is meant to be a tutorial. What I will do is, if you have come here, if you've bought the pattern and you've come here just to get the tutorial for how to use the pattern, I will timestamp this so you can scroll along the bottom and click on the bit you want to go to, and it'll be easy to go back to if you want to refer back to it later on during the course of making your own seagull. So a lot of people, I felt awful because there's a bit of a misunderstanding. They thought I was going to give Steve away as well, and I just can't bear to part with him. He's the first one, he's the prototype, but I did say I'd try and make another one, and this is Steve's cousin. Now, he's still going to be hard to part with, but I made him knowing that. I'd be giving him away. But I think because we've already got lots of beautiful prizes on Saturday, I'm going to save this one, who doesn't have a name yet. I'm going to save him for the October live stream. We're planning a humdinger live stream for October. It's my son Tom's birthday. Tom always does the live streams with me. I'm hoping we'll be celebrating 9k subscribers by then, if things carry on the way they are. Arty for October will have just started. The 4th round of the Great Big Little Stitchery Swap will have just started. It's a humdinger month. There's a lot going on. Yeah, I'm going to save him for that. But in the course of making him, I also created this pattern. My printer's printed it funny, so it's it just says copyright Annie Claxton on the bottom, nothing important. So this is the pattern that I've created. It's more of a template really, I suppose, and this is what I'm going to use today to make another seagull up. Now, it did occur to me that you could just adapt these pattern pieces a little bit to create different types of birds as well, and you could do them in all sorts of colours, bright colours, different realistic colours. I've got all kinds of ideas for different kinds of birds that we could do later on, just by adapting these things a little bit. All sorts of ideas for other accessories to go with them and things, but I'm not going to go on about that now. What I'm going to do now is get into making this seagull. So here's what you'll need. I've got these scraps. These are from my Bazaar scrap packs. All these bits. I'll link to Bazaar as well, because they're all rescued fabrics from the Indian textile industry. I love Bazaar. Regular viewers will know how much I love Bazaar. If you order from Bazaar, don't forget to put Arty Farty Annie Treat. Oh, you're up too far away. Don't forget to put Arty Farty Annie Treat in the note to seller box at checkout, and they'll send you a little extra doodad in with your order. I'm also going to need some coordinating, just like machine threads, and then later on I will need coordinating threads for a bit of decorative stitching later on. Obviously fabric scissors and little snippy scissors are always handy. I use these little black glass beads for the eyes, but if you haven't got any little beads, you could just do it with stitches. You use a French knot or something instead. And obviously I'm going to need needles and pins. I've also got some felt. Now, when I made Steve, I didn't use felt. I used only what was in the pack, except for this plain white cotton and the stuffing. But the feet are quite fiddly to do with fabric and the beak, so it would be a lot easier to do it in felt. So I'm going to do it in felt today. I also just used the fabric with a Suffolk puff for the top, and there's a little snippet of this used for this part. But other than that, it was all what was in the scrap pack, because that's what I was trying to do. But I do think the hat as well would be easier with felt. With this second one, I've done a layer of fabric over the felt, and it does make it easy. It meant I hadn't got to, I've just left the edges raw and let it look sort of a bit rough and ready. Because I think a beachcombing scavenger gulls hat would be a bit rough and ready. This one fits better with the felt as well, I think. I think it sits on his head better. I'm going to find him so hard to par with. With this one, I've also made another little change. I've just put a little piece of contrasting cotton across the tip of the wing here, because they do sometimes have those darker tips at their wings. Oh, I do hope you're going to go to someone who will love you. So yeah, that's what I've got the felt here for. I'll use this one for the beak and the feet, and this one will be the inside of the hat. I just think it'd be fun to do it in a different colour for a change, because I've made two of them in those colours now, so I'm getting bored. And the other thing I'll need is some stuffing of some kind. I've got loads of this because Tom had a whole lot of it. First thing I need to do is cut out my pattern pieces. I need my paper scissors to do that with. I always use these big things. I'm just going to do that, and then I'll be back. Here we go. I've started cutting all my pieces. Cut all the pattern pieces out. With the felt pieces, I just cut them out as per the paper pattern. Normal fabric pieces, I need to add a seam allowance. I did make a note of it to remind you on the pattern. It's set for the leg one because that's just going to be folded and rolled and stitched. You don't need to leave a seam allowance on that piece. So yeah, if I was going to make the foot and the beak out of normal fabric instead of felt, I'd need to add a seam allowance. This was a little bit tricky to do because it was hard to draw the lines on this slightly stretchy fabric, but I got there in the end. So what I tend to do is just cut one piece and then lay that piece I've cut onto the fabric and cut the fabric piece around it. I just find it easier. So I need to cut, on each of the pieces I've put how many you need to cut. With the wings I need to cut 4, 2 for each wing. So all I've done is place the pattern piece down on the fabric and cut it out with a small seam allowance. You can see there where the line is that I've drawn, and I've just used one of these heat erasable pens to do that. So then what I'll do with this is go back to my scrap of fabric and lay it down. So that's the right side. I'll put them right sides together, lay that down, put a pin through, and cut round again. I've got 2 pieces for each wing. So it might be, especially if you think you might make more than one, it's probably worth transferring these pattern pieces to cardboard so you can draw around them more easily. But it's not too bad with the normal cotton. It's not too bad. I just hold it down like this and carefully draw around. Chalk, tailor's chalk or something, a chalk pencil might be easier. I haven't cut the pieces that accurately. I'm not being that accurate with the seam allowances. One of the things I think is charming about these scrappy birds is they do come out a little bit wonk, and I don't mind wonky. I'm sure you could be really, really precise if you wanted to, but I do think it is part of the charm of them that they are that little bit wonky. So yeah, I would just take that off now. I only need to cut one gusset piece, and I've got about a ½ centimetre seam allowance there. I don't know what that is in inches. Less than 1/4 inch. But you know, if you need a bigger seam allowance, that's fine. You could stitch. So I this is completely hand stitched the way I've done them, but you could definitely machine stitch some of this at least. So there's my gusset piece ready with the stitching lines marked out in pen. Probably won't see them too well on camera, but yeah, you can kind of see they're there, and I'll be able to see them when I'm stitching. There we go, that's focused up a bit now, it's a bit better. With the hat piece, when I cut the paper out, I just cut a slit in and then carried on and cut the circle for the middle out, because I need that middle piece cut separately. Oh yeah, and another thing you'll note on the pattern, I put pasty underneath. It's not a mistake, that's because if you cut this piece in brown felt or something and fold it in half, you can turn it into a little Cornish pasty to put in this bag. It's about the right size. Snip into this so I can start cutting the circle. And again, if you end up cutting this not quite accurately and the hat doesn't fully go together, you know, I think it'd look quite cute if the top part of the hat was slightly detached and flapping up with the flower poking out of it or something. That could be quite fun. I might even do that on purpose in a minute. So you can always get around it, just embrace the wonkiness. There we go, so that's all my pieces cut out. I think I'm ready to go. Let's gather up my paper pieces and put them out of the way to use again. The only piece I haven't cut is the fish and the pasty and the bag and things, you know, because they all come later. I'm just going to show the making of the bird itself. I'm going to put a little marker. I didn't put it on the pattern. It's not written in stone. You can adjust this a bit as you go along. But I'm going to stitch from about there. I'm leaving just a little gap there where the gusset will go in, and then the gusset goes all the way around to about here. I haven't marked up the pattern because, as I say, it just tends to vary a little bit depending on what fabric you're using and how accurate you're being, and you know, so that's kind of adjustable anyway. So I need to leave from this mark all the way around to there open to put the gusset in. I'm just going to stitch from here up around the head and all the way down to there, and I'm going to do that by hand, just using a normal kind of machine cotton. And I'm just going to do a small straight stitch. You could machine this if you wanted to. I'm going to over stitch it afterwards because I like the look of that, so I'm going to do a really easy, quick, small running stitch all the way around here. I'm not even going to bother doing a back stitch. There we go, that's my see it better on that side. So it's just little quite small stitches. If I didn't want to do the decorative over sewing afterwards, I would make that a proper back stitch or machine stitch it. It's still open from there right round to the tail. Now I need to start putting the gusset in, and I find the best way to do this is to start at the tail end. So the tail end is this, it tapers to a point there. It's the other end, this with this sort of triangular finish, this sort of wedge shape on the end is what lines up with the tail. And the corner needs to meet this corner here. So this corner needs to meet this corner, and they need to go right sides together. So I would start there, curve this around and start stitching here. So you can see that once I've put the gusset in, I'm going to have to stitch a little bit further down the back, but that's okay. You know, it might be that when you put it in that doesn't happen. This is what I mean, you just adjust it as you go along to make it work. And I'm going to start stitching here and follow that stitching line along. Probably should have drawn the stitching line on the wrong side of the fabric, and I'll be able to see it now, but I know it's roughly there. I know how much for seam allowance I allowed, and as I say, it's not you don't have to be that precise. The first seagull that I made, his tail came out all twisted to one side. It just gives him a little bit more character. I think just where this corner is, I'll just do a little double stitch, And now I'm going to turn this around, and this is probably like the awkwardest bit really, just going around these corners. And because I've got one of my fabrics is just normal cotton and the other one is stretchy, I'm just being careful not to let the stretchy one stretch too much. There we go, I've got it turned around the corner now, so the edges are still meeting together. And I'm just still, like before, doing a small neat running stitch. People have sometimes asked why I use such a big needle, and this is why, because when I'm doing this kind of sewing I can just take lots of stitches at the same time because the needle is nice and long. There we go. So I will follow this all the way around until I come up to the end, to the pointy end. I'll be back in a moment. Well, I'm just coming to the pointy end now, and it's actually marrying up really nicely with where this seam has come to. So that's good. So we're all right at this end, and I'm just now going to finish with a small double stitch or two. To finish that off, start myself a new piece of thread, and then I will work my way all the way back down the other side of the gusset piece. So there we go, I've come all the way down here. Now I'm going to go all the way down there, back to the tail end, and then where I've got a small gap here, so this will come up to there, there's a small gap there, I'll just do a few more stitches there just to close that up. Now you might notice that I'm not leaving an opening to turn it the right way out, and I've deliberately made that decision because I just found it easier to sew the whole thing, get the shape right, and then cut a little slit in the bottom, which I can then over sew because the whole thing is scrappy and patchy. I did it here and ended up putting these patches over because I thought that added to it anyway. And then on this one I put it in the bottom, stitched it all up, and then put some deliberately oversized stitching because I think that just adds a nice little touch. So yeah, I'm going to go and stitch all the way along there, and then I'll be back. I can't believe it, I've only just realised that I didn't push start record, and I think I might have missed, I don't think I even managed to film the stuffing or anything. I stitched around all of the seams, I clipped into all of the curves so it would turn out nice and flat. When I put the whole thing together I cut a slit in the bottom to turn it inside out through, to turn it right way out through. And then I stuffed it, making sure it went into all the curves nicely and into the corners nicely. Stuffed it sort of reasonably full but not too firm, made sure it sits nice. And then I just did a quick overstitch that isn't too tidy down there. But my plan is that I'll do a nice chunky, deliberately oversized cross stitch down there. I can't believe I just managed to not record all of that. I can't make another one. I haven't got time. I'm annoyed with myself now because I just did that small running stitch instead of a back stitch or a machine stitch. You can see the seam is quite sort of open there, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to do this decorative stitching over the top in a contrast colour because I like the look of that. If you don't, you could just do a back stitch, a hand back stitch instead when you put these pieces together, or machine it, and then you won't need to do this step at all. But I just like the look of it and I quite enjoy the doing of it. There was a tiny gap where I hadn't stitched all the way down here. I just put another stitch there to finish that off, and I was just saying that if you get up to here or you get up to here and you find that there is a little gap, don't panic, it doesn't matter, just stitch it up. Or if there's not enough room for you to go all the way to the point, just undo a little bit of the seam you did here, it'll be fine. This is meant to be scrappy and wonky, this bird. I can't believe I did that. I think my mouse had gone to sleep because I've been sitting here all engrossed stitching. My mouse had gone to sleep. I clicked on start recording and then that just woke the mouse up, so I hadn't actually clicked on anything. Can't believe it. Sorry. What a klutz. But anyway, I think it's fairly clear, hopefully, what I was doing. I'm going to carry on working all the way around here now. I shall work all the way up here, down around there, all the way around this side of the gusset, back up to the point of the tail, then go back around that side and follow it all the way around there, back up to here again. And then I'll be back. And this is the point I got to where I looked up and realised I'd never started recording. Finished all the decorative stitching around there. I've stitched together one of the legs. I'll show you how I did that in a minute. And I've done one of the wings again. I'll show you how I did that on the other one. I've started stitching the beak together and I'm using felt this time, so I just cut the pieces exactly as per the pattern pieces. Obviously if you're going to use a cotton print or something, you'll need to leave a bit of a seam allowance and it's a little bit more fiddly, and I would suggest just stitch it down this far and then turn it inside out and start the stuffing process. It's just a little bit tricky. I think, you know, probably each of us will find our own way of doing it. You just need to take your time. I've actually started adding the stuffing now, and then I'll carry on with the stitching and then add more stuffing. It doesn't need to be overstuffed. You know, the felt is quite there's quite a lot of body in the felt already, even without any stuffing. There we go. That'll fit on there like that. Let's just have a little bit more stuffing. It's amazing how much stuffing these things will take. Right, so I've pushed a bit more stuffing in there and I've left these two bits kind of, you know, empty. It's going to start attaching the beak onto the face like this. I'm going to put kind of tack in stitches first and then stitch it on again more carefully once I've got it tacked into place. Right, so that's that beak tacked on. And then what I did, I haven't got time to show this whole process because I need to get this video up and I don't want it to go on too long, but I think it's pretty clear what I've done. I've just then overstitched the whole thing on a bit more firmly, and you can see whether you do it in the fabric or the felt, it's kind of the same process. I've then stitched through the whole thickness of the beak to give this line between, and then a little dot there where the nostril is. Just stitch back and forth, pulling it really tight. And then once the beak is in place, I've used, on this one I've used yellow and white and lots of little short stitches to sort of blend it all into the face. I'm not going for realistic, but I just think it's a nice little touch. So here I will use lots of little short stitches in the green and the yellow and possibly a little bit of white as well once I've stitched this on firmly, and I'll stitch through there with the yellow. I'm just going to quickly show you how I will stitch the eye through, because that's quite a handy little tip. A lot of this I covered when I did the first video showing how I made this seagull, so I will link to that as well. So what I'm doing with this is I've doubled up my thread. I'm just using this normal machine thread. I've doubled it up, and I'm the end where I've got the two ends together, that's what I'm threading through the needle like that. So on the other end there's a loop where the thread is doubled over. I'm going in where I want the eye to go. I think there is about right. Making sure I come out at the same point on the other side. Just check back and forth. Check from the top and the sides. Looks about right to me. Pulling the needle through, but not quite all the way. You can see that loop is still there. And then I'm going back in here, just a tiny stitch, really tiny stitch, back through to the other side again, about coming out about 1 millimetre away from where I've left that loop. Pulling through, and I'm going through, putting the needle through that loop. And what that's done is create a knot, so I haven't got an end to worry about. It's created a knot there, and if I pull that tight, I'm already starting to get the eye shape. So now I'm going to just make the stitch a tiny bit bigger to get slightly like a bit of a straight line for the eye to sit in. And each time before I pull through, I'm making sure I'm coming out in the right place on the other side. So you can see there, that's already starting to give it an eye shape. And all I need to do is add the beads in. So I've just threaded that onto my needle. I'm going back in the same place again and coming out the same place on the other side. Like that. Let's get the other one. Coming out right next to the bead on the other side again, and I'm just going to go through the beads on either side once more to make sure everything's really nice and secure. So that's them. I know that a lot of what I'm doing now I covered in the first video, and I really want to get this video done now, so I'm not going to cover absolutely everything. I've got the feet here, the legs and the other wing to do. So with the leg, all I did was fold it in half this way and in half again that way, slightly overlapping, and then I'm folding the two folded edges together, so just folding it in half lengthwise so those two folded edges meet like that, and over stitching along, which is what I've done there. And then with each of the legs, what I did was just tie a knot to make the knee, just like that, because I think it looks quite quirky and cute. I just really like the look of that. So again, looking at these ones, that was the first one that I did, and that's the other one. And they've just kind of they make themselves up as they go along a little bit. That one's ended up with the feet at kind of quirky angles and knobblier knees than the other one, but that just kind of happened. So I think that's really cute. I think I showed the wings in the first video. So all you need to do is stitch around the stitching line and then cut a little slit, just like I did here. Cut a little slit, turn it inside out, or right way out. Stuff it not too firmly because you want this to be fairly flat, and then I added some decorative stitching, just a couple of bits. I also added the same kind of decorative stitching on the tail as well. Similar thing here, I just put an extra piece across, similar thing on the tail. And then I took both wings, placed them as I wanted them, and stitched all the way through, pretty much like I did with the eyes. I might even think about putting a button there, because I think that'd be quite cute to put a little button there, because one of the nice things is that you can move the wings up and down, make him hold on to his bag. Quite cute. So once you've done the legs, you can then put the feet together, just overstitch all the way around, just like I have with the beak there. Add a tiny bit of stuffing. You won't need an awful lot using felt, but just a little bit of stuffing. I added with both of these, you can see it better on this one, I just put some stitches across like that to indicate the spaces between the webbed feet, the sort of bony bits. Stitch them all the way around, stuff them a little bit, leave a gap here and just pop the leg in there and finish sewing it up. And then this will attach on the underside of the body here, like that. Between this video and the other one, which I will link to, I think I've covered everything. If anybody's watching this and has any questions at all, please feel free to ask me in the comments or message me in the Facebook group or on Discord, and I'll be happy to try and help. I haven't covered doing the hat this time at all. It's pretty straightforward. I showed most of it in the first video. What I would do is roll this strip around and adjust it so that it fits that hole and this piece, overstitch it across there. This one I then covered it, I covered it in a piece of fabric as well, but whichever way you want to do it, overstitch it there, then attach the top of the hat. I think I might with this one just leave it slightly open and have a flower growing out of it or something. Or make a little fake prawn coming out of it or something like that, a bit of seaweed, I don't know. And then once you've done that, you just have to attach it here. And again, totally up to you. You could always use a bit of print fabric, as I have here, to make it more interesting. I do think the hat works better like this. This one, the one I've done, this is the one I've done from the pattern, the paper pattern. It's slightly smaller than the original. This was the prototype one, and I just think it fits a lot better. Yeah, that's ideal. So that one is your hat. There we go. Hopefully that'll make a cute little thumbnail. I'm going to take this little one downstairs and have him or her finished, hopefully for tomorrow in time for the live stream. I hope you found that interesting and useful. If you've got any questions at all, please do ask me. I will make sure that by the time this video goes out, hopefully the pattern will be available on my Gumroad. If you do have a go at this project, please do share some pictures in the Facebook group and all the Discord community, because I always love to see what people do with these ideas. It always makes my day. Please do join us tomorrow for the live stream. Very exciting. It's going to be a fantastic one, a really fun one. So that's Saturday the 7th of September 2024 from 8 PM to 10 PM UK time. Bring along whatever project you're working on, or just bring along your favourite tipples and nibbles and settle down on the sofa and just join in with a live chat and have a bit of fun. If you're in Discord, there's a live stream follow along room, and so you can post pictures there of whatever you're up to while you're watching us. So hope to see you there. Thanks very much for joining me today, and I'll see you again really soon.